Hello everyone, this is Fifth Wall Paranormal coming at you live from Big Walker Mountain. This place called Big Walker Lookout, it's got a 100-foot observation tower from the top. You can actually see points in count them, five different states. James and I, however, both hate heights. We're not going up there. Sorry to disappoint. Anyways, the reason that we wanted to film here was actually the history of this valley behind me.
Welcome everybody. This is Fifth Wall Paranormal. I'm James. This is Brandy. Welcome to the show.
All right, we're bringing you right now the history of Virginia City, which is a place that was right down from Big Walker Lookout and actually opened up by the same guy, and that was Stuart Thomas Kine.
The reason why we're bringing it to you now is because we
Like we
had some
said
tragedy.
earlier, yeah.
We had some tragedy on the show. All of the footage that we had, except for about 30 seconds of it, was corrupted. Like every file that I had on the camera was gone. Except for the very first part of it, and it was only like 30 seconds of what Brandy was telling us and what she's getting ready to tell us now.
Mhm.
So, without further ado, here's Brandy.
Yep. So back then he had actually called it Dry Gulch Junction, and he had an old 1905 steam Shay engine and a little train, and it actually was set up on a V track to kind of like show tourists and stuff how they did logging in the mountains back in that time. And you got to think, like, this is the late 60s, early 70s, so folks thought that was pretty cool, kind of amusing, cool little place to stop off. They'd stop at the lookout, they'd go up that 100-foot tower, then they'd go down there, they'd watch the steam engine work. I mean, hey, all
They
right.
get a couple good hot dogs in the meat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they had hot dogs back then, I'm sure they did. They've been around a while. Anyways, however, in 1972, Mr. Kime died, and he actually left that place and Big Walker Lookout to his son Ron. Now, Ron still owns the lookout, but unfortunately, he does not own Virginia City and Dry Gulch Junction anymore, and we'll get a little bit more into that as I continue to tell you the history. So, after Mr. Kine died and his son Ron took over, he decided to create like an even better roadside attraction. So he actually went in and built an old western town, and it was like pretty authentic looking and everything. He hired actors and actresses that dressed as cowboys and saloon girls. He actually had comedy shows in the saloons and stuff, and
Yep.
then he took that old train that his father had bought, built a track around the town, and would let the tourists ride on it.
Give them
And
a
then,
Wild West ride.
yeah, because he would actually stage a train robbery with the stuntmen and stuff that he had, and the
And they
actors
would
at
actually
the
get
time.
on there and tell you, hey,
Uh-huh.
look, stick them up.
Stick 'em up. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that.
I would have been like, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd have raised my hand though.
It was a really happening place to take your family in the 1970s and stuff. But around this time, they actually did experience the first of their bad luck kind of things in a really tragic way. One of his employees was actually spreading sawdust on the tracks. I looked, couldn't find a name for this man. Maybe the family didn't want it out there or whatever, but he was doing his job, spreading sawdust around, and he unfortunately slipped and fell as the moving train was coming.
While he was doing that, while the train was active,
Yeah,
it's not a good idea.
not a good idea.
And we
But
don't know why, and we don't
yeah,
know his name.
he fell, and the train did kill him, ran over him. So that was pretty awful. But despite that, Ron and his wife Dee, they were still determined to make Dry Gulch, a really great attraction and a successful business. So they actually started bringing in country music concerts and country music singers. So the next thing that he did was actually he brought in country music, like country music concerts to this place. And he didn't get like just any people to do it. he actually like got pretty
Mega
big
star.
name people. Yeah. Like he had singers the likes of Dottie West, Jim Ed Brown, Helen Cornelius, and other bigger up and coming stars of that day. Um, like they would come in there on Big Walker Mountain to that little western town and put on the shows, and they actually said the one show that Jim Ed Brown and Helen Cornelius put on, there were 3,500 people crammed into that little area there. Like, and as James will tell you, that's not a huge area.
No, it's a small area. I mean,
So-
it's like, I don't know, probably about as maybe 4 or 5 thousand yards or so. Like maybe
Well,
a
I
couple
mean,
acres.
maybe a couple acres. Like, it's
Yeah,
not
like
big.
it's not a huge place. I mean, to have all the stuff that he had up there, it would have been packed.
Yeah. Y'all,
And to
yeah.
have 35,000 or 3,500
3,500,
people
yeah.
up there at one time, yeah, that would have been crowded.
Yeah, they said there were actually, like, more people up there than trees at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, unfortunately, even with all this, again, you know, this black cloud of bad luck hung over it. And literally, every time he would put on a concert, it would pour down rain. Every time. Even snowed one time at a concert, and I think it was like late spring, early summer, so that was weird. And Ron used to joke about it, and, you know, he would say, well, it can't rain all the time.
Apparently it could.
But yeah, after months and months of it doing it, him seeing the attendance to his concerts decline, him losing tons of money because he's trying to pay the artists, he's trying to keep that place running, and he's, you know, losing money because, well, he's getting rained out, you know, like way more than is normal. After a while, it didn't seem so funny to them anymore.
No.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, Dry Gulch Junction did end up slipping out of Ron's hands and out of the Kime family. It was put up at a trustee sale, and the train was dismantled, and that neat little western town attraction was just left abandoned. Vandals came in, thieves, you know, broke the windows, stole the copper, like, it just took a toll on it, and it just kind of sank into obscurity for a long while. You know, it was just kind of a footnote.
Yeah.
Well, cue Dry Gulch's second chance at life, I think around 2000 or so, when actually Mike Hill and Jeanne Davis happened to stumble on it, like literally stumble across it as they were walking through those mountains and dreaming of owning a mountaintop business of a sort. And so they found it, fell in love with the looks of it, and just so happened it was for sale.
Yep.
So they bought it. And the wife, Jeanne Davis, said that she felt like they were destined to revive that business. And for a while it looked like she was right. Her husband Mike must have agreed, because according to Ron Kime, who still kept an eye on the venture as it was right down the road from his, you know, business of Big Walker Lookout,
Exactly.
and had belonged to his dad, Mike saved that dying town. He saved the buildings with new paint, new furnishings. He and Jeanne even built a covered sluice and would sell tourists and visitors buckets of raw ore that they had imported from other towns. And people could put them in that sluice and sluice for their own gyms and stuff up there. So, you know, that would have been kind of cool and everything, besides being able to, you know, tour that town and all. And for a while, you know, business up there boomed. Tourists would come in by the busloads.
Yeah.
Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, school kids. I mean, you know, they kept busy for a while. But soon, that old dark cloud of bad luck reared its ugly head again.
Yep.
And it would seem that curse of Big Walker Mountain hadn't quite been broken.
Because they started losing money too.
Yep, Hill and Davis began to notice, no matter how many people visited Virginia City, no matter how hard they worked, that place lost money. I mean, it
By the
lost
bucket
money,
load.
yeah.
I mean, it was hemorrhaging money, and that's the sad part, because it was Because, like, with where it was at and how it was being run, it should have made thousands and not millions of dollars.
Yeah, I
It should
mean,
have been a small, like a small Dollywood at the time.
yeah, really. I mean, yeah, I would have loved to have seen it,
Me
but
too, but
as
I
they
never knew about
struggled
the
to
place
keep their
until.
dream afloat, they kept on losing ground, and then more tragedy struck.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Mike Hill, in an attempt to save an ATV from tumbling off the mountain, suffered what he thought was a bad strain. It was like a muscle pull or something's what he thought. But
Yep.
then the pain just kept getting worse and worse and worse
And then
till he
tragedy.
finally, yeah, till he finally went to a doctor. But by then it was too late.
Yeah, something
And
burst in him and
mhm.
he died.
Yep, unfortunately he did die in 2006, and Jeanne was devastated, as you can imagine, but for her the bad luck wasn't over yet, because just a year later she actually lost her father too.
Yeah.
So he died, and then with both her soulmate and her father gone, her passion to run Virginia City kind of died too. And I don't blame her, because that's more than just about anybody can handle.
Right. She turned a chapter in her life, and well, now we are where we are with Virginia City.
Yeah, she did everything she could to still hang on to it, because she loved that land and everything in the mountains. But at a cost of $8,000 a month just to maintain it, she finally just had to let it go. As of
Keep it up for
2009,
more.
she had no more plans to like reopen it or run it to do anything. And then sometime after that, it actually went up for auction again. Now, it remained a ghost town for quite a while. I think the last time that we actually saw anyone had went up there was 2018.
Yeah.
So we just assumed,
It was
which
still
you
there.
shouldn't do,
Yeah,
that
it
it
was
was
still
still
there.
there. It is not.
Unfortunately.
2021 finds that place
Abandoned
gone.
completely.
Yep. But now for the paranormal stuff, a lot of people that worked there said that place was super haunted. That if you just sat out on the porches of the buildings, like close to night or at night,
you could
you
see
would hear
people.
voices, you could see apparitions, hear like all kinds of weird noises going on in the buildings, like footsteps and
Yep.
just all kinds of stuff.
Things rustling in the trees.
Yeah, like just all kinds of strange stuff going on. And we were gonna do that whole investigation. We had a whole thing planned out. We were gonna try his new spirit box he got us and everything, and of course test out this new camera and our full spec camera that we now have like an infrared light for. We were gonna do all kinds of stuff, but
And all that went to crap.
yeah, it sure did. Sure did. So, now we're going to talk about just Big Walker Mountain in general and all of the lost souls that actually may roam there because of all kinds of like nasty, nasty things that happen.
Right.
You want to do it or you want me to?
I can. Well, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Now this is
Shift
no.
on over here.
This is no particular order, honestly. The first guy I want to tell you about is the same gentleman that she mentioned earlier about the where he died on the train track where he fell, putting the sawdust down to keep the track from being slick and whatnot. That's the reason they do that. But why he was doing it while it was running, I haven't honestly no clue.
Yeah, that was not a good decision, folks. Do not get near
do not
moving
go,
trains.
Do not go to a moving train and try to clean a track or whatever.
No.
It's just not a good idea. But his name is James Walter White. He was 47 years old.
That was not him. That's
Oh, no,
actually
that's
the
the
guy that died in the
motorcycle
motorcycle accident.
I'm sorry. Yes, this is a different guy. The guy that was killed at the junction by the train.
We don't have his name.
We don't have his name, but just don't do that anyway. And then in 2014, the guy I just mentioned, he died at 47 on a motorcycle accident in the tunnel, the Big Walker Tunnel. The reason they put that tunnel there was because when
a long time ago.
yeah, there was an Indian burial ground up there, and they had discovered it later on, and many years later. Well,
there was a farmer plowing his field, and he
Yeah.
actually plowed up Indian bones. And
So
yeah.
they decided, well, we're not going to disturb that because that's an Indian burial ground. It's a sacred site.
Yeah,
We'll
so they
just
didn't
leave it
want to lay
alone.
the road over top of that.
Yeah, so they went through the mountain. Well, apparently the disturbance of that land was not a good idea because this gentleman, when he went through the tunnel, there was a bunch of stopped cars because of something that had happened in the tunnel, and he didn't see it and hit the back of a car. And,
Yeah, he didn't stop in time.
yeah, he didn't hit the brake fast enough, and he died. And then another person I want to mention is a guy named Michael Heel.
Yeah, and that was the husband of Jan.
He was the farm owner.
Well, he wasn't the farm owner. He was the
the
former owner.
Yeah, and that was the guy that we were talking about.
I'm sorry, that's him
earlier.
trying to read my writing. That's my fault.
Yeah, but anyway, so he injured himself, and then what happened was.
Yeah, Mike. He
thought he
pulled a
strained
muscle.
something, and he actually had ruptured something inside of him, and it killed him. It bursted, and then he died, or whatever.
Now this next one's a good one.
This one's creepy because it involves two brothers, and then one of the brothers' wives, which is Mary Catherine Newberry. She was murdered by her husband Ralph Newberry, and also by his brother Samuel L. Newberry of Bland. Now, why they killed this lady, nobody knows. But they decapitated her, shoved her head. The remains of her skull and bones and all of that was found in their fireplace, and her body was found miles away
on top of Big Walker Mountain.
Yeah, on Big Walker Mountain, just laying there.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't dispose of it, but they disposed of her head.
They burnt her head.
Yeah, they found the bones and stuff in the actual fireplace like days later after finding her body. And it's weird because, like, why would you just not do anything? If you're going to kill somebody, why not dispose of the whole body?
I don't think those two were the sharpest
they
tools in the shed.
Yeah, they were not bright at all. And then in 1930, this is the part where we told you about the farmer finding the burial mound and on top of Big Walker Mountain, and the reason why that they made Big Walker Tunnel.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much, and then all the soldiers that died. And that's the only
down
other,
at the Battle of Wytheville. Yeah, during the Civil War.
Yeah, and then that's the only other actual stuff that we've come up with there, but that's enough.
That we know of right now, yeah. Now, anytime there's anybody messing with an Indian burial ground,
and like we say,
bad stuff happens.
Yeah, if any of y'all have a knowledge or ideas or know stuff about that site, put it in the comments.
Or email us.
Yeah, or email us at
thefifthwildparanormal@gmail.com.
Amen. That's how it goes.
Yep.
But until our next investigation, we will see you all later.
Well, hold on. You want to tell them about Bigfoot?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, the Bigfoot hunt. The reason we didn't get to do it was because everything
went wrong. Yeah.
Every part of our footage got corrupted, so we just tried to go to a different cemetery, and that corrupted too. So
yeah, we actually
we were trying to do 2 shows in one, and then that where we didn't have the show for the Big Walker show, we was going to go do another one, and all of the footage died.
The Bigfoot stuff, one viewer sent in an eyewitness account that when she was actually riding with, I guess, her significant other up the mountain, and then another couple that they knew was behind them, videoing the ride, and she said when they went around a sharp curve,
a Bigfoot tried to take her off the bike.
Oh my. Like,
yeah, that's crazy. They said that
I would have needed a change of pants.
She said that the video, she couldn't find it because she hasn't heard from those people in years. So that's kind of lost. Or we would have put it on the site, I'm sure.
We would have loved to. So if she ever finds that,
and I'm sure she will, but
Miss Melissa, if you ever find that video, send
let
it
us
to
know.
us.
Let us know. We'll let it be known.
And then his friend actually had told him another story.
He's another Bigfoot investigator. He told us another story of a bunch
and he's got
workers.
a YouTube channel.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of workers on. He said that there was a bunch of workers working on a curve, like the shoulder of the road.
It was on part of the road that was going over from Big Walker into Little Creek.
Yeah, and then what happened was apparently saw a family of 4 Bigfoot just walking across the road and up the hill and out of sight.
Yeah, and
and
that would have been
and
crazy.
then he said that other than that, that was all that happened. He said they didn't even pay no attention to the workers. They were just looking at him like, what the heck?
Yep. So, yeah, and then, so after we left Big Walker, we went down to the East End Cemetery there in Wytheville, Virginia, and that place has got like a lot of Civil War generals, some congressmen, Edith Bowling Wilson, who's like a big part of Wytheville history.
Yes, because she was married to Woodrow Wilson, who was a president of the United States.
Yep.
Plus, she had a hotel there, which is still up and running, and they say she is there to haunt it. Well,
she haunts her birthplace, which is like right across the road from the hotel.
Yeah.
But people have said that like eerie things go on in that hotel too, so it might be Edith checking
and we
in.
honestly, actually, that night that we went to the East End, we actually had contacted with her.
Yeah,
with
we
the
got out the
rods,
dowsing rods.
and she acknowledged that she was there, but
And still watching over Wytheville.
sadly though,
That
we
footage,
don't have the footage.
yeah.
It got all corrupted.
Of course.
I think maybe she might have done it after she had told us all of that. I mean, you can't.
I don't
tell.
think so. I
But
think
I don't
it was
think so
something
because
from Big Walker.
I think she really wanted us to know.
Yeah.
Because we were asking her specific questions like, are you protecting Wytheville, and do you still go to the hotel in your home? And she was like, yes to all of it.
Mhm.
So I mean, I think she's a protective entity, but yeah, like I say, the Big Walker show and all of that just got corrupted. We don't know why.
You, man, bad luck. Bad luck.
It's all a part of the paranormal experience.
Well, actually, one thing I did forget to mention about Big Walker Lookout, they used to have a sky lift burned down, and they never did rebuild it. So that's yet another thing that, I'm telling you, something ain't quite right up there on that mountain.
And here's a question that I'm going to pose to everybody. How's a sky lift burned down?
Well, it was fire.
Yeah, but no, man. Well, yeah, but with nobody around, how's it just burn up?
That I don't know if they know how that fire started.
See?
I'd have to dig a little deeper and
So
see if I could find that answer.
There's a posing question for our viewers right there.
Yeah.
How does a
so
sky
if
lift with
any
nobody
of you
around
guys
burn
know,
down?
if any of you guys know what started that fire on the Big Walker sky lift,
let us know.
Put it in the comments. Yep.
Let us know.
If you know something we don't, we're always glad to learn.
Yep.
So.
I mean, seriously. I mean, it's but yeah, we're gonna try to find out that story. But yeah, from what we understand, nobody was around, and it just burnt to the ground on its own.
Yep. So what we're gonna do tonight to just kind of add a little bit more to this and try to bring a little bit of spooktacular flavor to it, as well as be able to use the new spirit box, which I'm dying to try.
Right.
We're gonna go first to the Cleburne Wayside, where a young man,
From the Civil
Captain
War
Cleburne, Captain Cleburne, he was 21 years old. He asked that if he fell in battle during the Civil War, that he
Just
be
to
buried where he
laid.
fell. Yep, and there
so
he is.
His soldiers buried him at the Cleburne Wayside here in
Mhm.
Pulaski, and that's where we're headed to this evening.
Yep, and we may do a little drive-by of another place around there that has ties to the Civil War, which was Rockwood Manor. We probably won't be able to go in it this time, although we may rent a room there sometime and see what we can rile up. But, it's worth at least a look, because that place has an awesome look to it. I've seen it. He hasn't, so I'm gonna drive him by there, see what he thinks about it. We'll get y'all some footage, and that's about it for right now until we'll
see y'all later.
do that other stuff. Yep.
Yep.
See you guys later.
Bye, y'all.